Some of the biggest changes to UK drone laws are coming over the next couple of years. Stay tuned to find out the 5 things you need to know.
Geeksvana is your drone channel.
Hey everyone, my name is Sean and welcome to Geeksvana. Today we're going to be talking about the new drone regulations coming in next year across Europe and giving you the top 5 things you need to know. For context, new EU directives have been passed to bring in new sweeping changes across all 26 member states of EASA, the European Aviation Safety Agency, of which the UK are a member of. This will bring in legislation which will actually allow us to fly our drones under the same set of rules in any member state. One thing to clarify early on here is Brexit. Whether or not the UK remains a member of the EU, it is fully expected that the UK will adopt the new directives. In fact, the CAA are already hard at work forming the new regulations under CAP 1789. This will ensure the UK will not miss out on the future tax revenues and employment gains from the drone superhighways of the future from Alphabet and Amazon, etc. To get a more detailed look on the new swathe of regulations coming, you can watch our new playlist on the new EU drone laws, which is linked in the description. This video is to give you a helpful reminder of some of the key points. Also, if you're new here, please consider subscribing, and to get the latest drone news first, hit the notification bell. Let's get to the 5 things you need to know about the new drone regulations coming in 2020. Number 1. Where you can fly and with what drone is set to change. There are going to be 3 new categories of airspace for drones. The one which most of us hobbyists will use is the open category. There are then 3 subcategories: A1, fly over people, A2, fly close to people, and A3, fly far from people. These are straightforward sounding, but you will need to look at what drone you are flying. The EASA regs will bring in a new CE marking scheme for drones, which will help you purchase the right drone for the right type of flying, starting with toy drones at class C0 through to the more substantial drones of the other classes C1 to C4. The main changes to the drones will be technological and safety, with drones needing to be of a construction type not to harm if they hit someone. Also, there will be a requirement for a slow mode on the drone, reducing its speed, although this will mean we'll be able to fly a little closer to people than we can at the UK at the moment when that mode is active. Keep in mind that manufacturers will have until July 2022 to ensure that products hold a CE marking certification. To learn more on the different drone classes, you can view our video on this subject, which is linked in the description. Number 2. Everyone is watching me. Drones, which are to be flown in most of the categories, for instance what are now Mavic Airs and Mavic 2s, will need to emit an electronic ID to which can be viewed by local authorities. This will include the pilot's ID number from the recent drone registration scheme. The idea behind this will be to help authorities track and trace rogue drone operators. For instance, if a drone is being flown and it's not displaying its electronic identity signal, then authorities will know it's an issue and can take steps against it. Number 3. What will happen to PFCO holders? The new regulations will change the system, where rather than an individual drone pilot holding a permission for commercial work, it will focus on the risk of an individual flight. Therefore, it should be expected that the PFCO will no longer be valid and a new system will come into place. There is talk out there on the internet of being able to fly for money without a qualification, but the new regs would only allow you to do this in very limited circumstances under the far from people subcategory, so it's unlikely we get much saleable footage or clients wanting this type of footage. Also, be aware that insurance to do so will still be required by the CAA, and that itself could render unqualified pilots out of the equation, unless an insurance company or two decide to take a risk. To learn more, you can watch my video called Goodbye PFCO, which looks at this area in more detail and includes input from one of the UK's best known drone training company owners. Number 4. What happens to my old drones? With regards to legacy drones, the stock still flying when the regulations come into effect in 2020, there's going to be a grace period, up to July 2022, where non-CE marked drones will still be allowed to fly in all the open category airspace classes under the regulations. This will include most of the DJI range and similar Aurtels, etc. After this time, you will only be able to fly these older drones in the far from people A3 category. Number 5. Europe, the open frontier. Once the regulations are adopted across the EASA member states, you will be able to take your drone, hop on a Eurotunnel, and fly in any of those countries under the same rules as your home state and with your existing registration details. This will give us all an awful lot of freedom and has to be seen as a real positive for the hobby moving forward. What are your thoughts on the drone regulations I've discussed with you today? Do you see the regulations as a help or a hindrance? Are you looking forward to flying your drone elsewhere in Europe without having to learn a whole set of new rules? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinions. I read every single comment made and try to respond to you all as well. You can find out more about these new drone regulations in our EU drone laws playlist, a link to which is in the description. We will of course keep you up to date with any more changes and updates as we have more videos on this subject coming very soon.
Please remember to like and subscribe.